I just rewatched No Way Home for the first time in probably 2 years last night, and after watching, I've come to the conclusion that this is probably the greatest Spider-Man movie ever made. From Tom Holland giving the performance of his career, to one of the most emotional deaths in the history of superhero movies, to the perfect use of Tobey and Andrew, this movie just gets so much right. And of course, I do have little issues here and there, and we'll get to those later in the video, but until then, let's jump into it. The first positive that really jumps out to me in this movie is Tom frickin' Holland. Like, this guy delivers an amazing performance all throughout this movie. I definitely did not appreciate his acting nearly enough up until this point. There's two scenes that really stand out to me where he just absolutely nails them. The first one being Aunt May's death. The way that he shows his emotion throughout that scene is just so believable. He absolutely nails it. And at the end, when he goes to visit MJ when they've forgotten who he was, he absolutely nails that one too. And there's probably so many more other than that, but those are just the two that really pop into my head just after watching it. And this isn't just, oh, it was good acting in a superhero movie. This is like good acting on all standards throughout all genres of movies. And Tom's performance is just one piece of what makes this movie so great. The next positive for me, and I already touched on it a little bit when talking about Tom's acting, but the next positive has got to be Aunt May's death. And of course, her dying is not a positive, but the way the scene is done and the way the scene is acted is absolutely amazing. They finally dropped the long-awaited "with great power also comes great responsibility" line for Tom Holland's Spider-Man, and they did it at the perfect time. I thought they did it really well. Both Tom and Marissa Tomei were awesome in this scene, and I think this is the moment for Tom's version of the character where he truly becomes Spider-Man. He had a couple quote-unquote Spider-Man moments throughout other movies, but this is the one that really turned him into Spider-Man, not just a Spider-Boy, for lack of a better term. But this movie isn't just about Tom. We got some other very familiar faces that returned in this movie, and that leads me into my next positive, which is Tobey and Andrew. They absolutely nailed this. They fit into the story perfectly, and they actually make sense. It's not just like a, oh hey, look who it is type of cameo, like in The Flash with the spinning world thing. Like, that was absolutely terrible. It is nothing like this. They actually serve a purpose. They help Tom's arc. They executed it very well. And Andrew got his redemption with MJ. That was a super cool moment to see. Tobey served as kind of like the mentor to both of them, and I thought that was perfect for his character. And their chemistry with Tom was great. For three people that have never really acted together, I thought they worked on the screen so well. It really elevated the whole third act. And another reason Tobey and Andrew work so well here is because it ties into something bigger, which is Tom's whole arc as Spider-Man, which then leads me into my next positive, which is Tom's arc as Spider-Man. And this is more than just a No Way Home thing. No Way Home just happens to finish it off. This is an arc that spans over 3 solo movies and 2 Avengers movies and Civil War. People always complain that this version of the character was like an Iron Man Jr. because he got gifted everything and everything came super easy to him. And I think those people just couldn't be more wrong. That's just how they decided to tell the origin of this version of Spider-Man. And to me, it makes perfect sense because I think that's how Spider-Man would come to be if he were in a larger MCU like that. I do think it makes sense for a character like Iron Man to take him under his wing, and then for Spider-Man to actually have to go through crap to become the true version of the character that we all know. And sure, his true becoming Spider-Man didn't happen for like 3 solo movies, but that's okay. That's just how they decided to tell this character, and I think it works great, honestly. I think it's awesome how they went about it. It's new and it's different, and we don't get enough of new and different nowadays when it comes to superhero movies. And the ending of No Way Home literally strips everything away from him. From his suit, the tech, all that stuff is gone, and now he's broke. He lives in a crappy apartment just like Tobey did back in the day, and he's got to make his way. And I think that is just a perfect launching point to the next trilogy, or next movie at least, Brand New Day, which comes out in less than a year now, which is crazy. The second to last positive I have for this movie is Spider-Man's spider sense and how it was portrayed. I think the way they did it was really cool, especially in that apartment scene where he kind of like walks around knowing something's off and then he turns and shoots his web at Green Goblin. I thought that was so cool. I don't think it's ever been portrayed like that in the movies before, so I think that was super creative and super well done. The way they did the camera work in the background, how it kind of like zoomed out as it zoomed in on his face, that was so cool. Definitely one of the most inventive uses of his spider sense in live action. Because, you know, you can't really do those squiggly lines on top of his head, so you gotta get a little bit creative, and I really like the direction that they went with it. And then the last positive I have is the overall story. It really works for me. The beginning, except for the spell scene, and I'll get to that later, but then from the bridge fight and on, I think it all flows well, it makes sense, the pacing is good, the highs are high, and the emotional beats land. Now with the positives out of the way, let's dive into the things I have a little bit of an issue with. The first one being Tobey and Andrew's entrance. Honestly, I just wish it was cooler, and I think Ned somehow being able to do magic just because his mom or grandma said that there was magic in the family, I don't really love that too much, but I guess you gotta get him into the story somehow, and I mean, I don't know if I could have come up with anything better. But also besides that, like, what were Tobey and Andrew doing all day? Like, Tobey said that he could sense that their friend needed something. How could he do that? Like, I don't think spider sense can do that. That just doesn't really make too much sense to me. I don't know, maybe I'm just being too nitpicky. I do think the scene that they went with gave a nice break from the action and allowed for both Tobey and Andrew to have a scene to themselves where they could breathe and get their moment, so I did think that part of it was cool. But I don't know, I think if they would have been dropped in during an action scene or something like that, maybe that would have been a little bit cooler. Or if we got to look into what they were doing in their own worlds before they came into Tom's world, I think that would have been pretty cool too. But enough about that. On to my biggest issue of the movie, which is the spell. There's a couple issues I have with this. First one, I don't like how easy it was to convince Strange to do this in the first place. Like, this sounds like a pretty crazy spell that can change and mess up a lot of things, as it obviously did. So for him to just be like, yeah, sure, let's do it, I don't know if I love that. And I get they saved the whole universe together and all that, but I think Strange maybe should have been a little bit more hesitant to do that, but that's just me. And then while he's casting, he says it's too dangerous to change the spell mid-casting, but yet changes it like 4 times as Peter is throwing in different people that should remember he's Spider-Man. I don't know, it just seems a little bit weak to me. I'm not saying I could have come up with anything better, but that is probably my biggest issue. It's just a very weak plot point in my opinion. Second to last weakness I have, and it's not even necessarily a weakness, so I don't even know if I should have it on here, but it is the CGI. There are some moments where it is phenomenal. I know this movie was primarily filmed on blue screens because it was made during COVID, so that certainly plays into it. But there were some moments where it kind of looked like weightless and it was so obvious that it was CGI. But then other times it looked really great. So I guess this is kind of like a neutral for me, but I mean, I think they did the best they could. And then the last issue I have is how many suits Tom wears throughout this movie. I feel like the dude had like 100 suits on. I think the actual number was like 5, so maybe that's exaggerating a little bit. But he starts with the one from Far From Home. Then he goes into the Iron Spider because that one gets green slime on it. Then he flips his Far From Home suit inside out. Then he goes back into the Far From Home suit to then get nanotech on top of it, and then makes his own suit at the very end of the movie. That's just a lot of suits. I'm more of a one suit type of guy, but they do all technically serve a purpose in the story, so I guess I'm okay with it viewing it from that lens. But my preference would definitely be to have like 1, maybe 2 suits throughout the movie. I do like the suit that he ended up with at the end and how he drew inspiration from both Tobey and Andrew. And I love how they refined it a little bit for Brand New Day. And I can't wait to see that suit in the actual movie. Despite those few nitpicks, this still is probably the greatest Spider-Man movie ever made. It nails Tom's arc, gives us some of the greatest performances we've seen in the MCU, and closes out this chapter of Tom's Spider-Man's character so perfectly and sets him up perfectly for the next chapter in the next movie or trilogy. Thank you guys so much for watching the video. I would love to hear where No Way Home ranks on your Spider-Man movie list, so please drop those down in the comments below. Love to interact with you guys, and I will see you in the next one.